Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn have announced their May 1st pay-per-view card, which will be on Sky Sports box office. And I hate to tell you guys, quite frankly, it's not good enough. The card is headlined by Dereck Chisora versus Joseph Parker. Don't get me wrong, that in itself is a good fight. But for me, for that to be on pay-per-view, it needs a stacked undercard. And for me, it certainly doesn't have that. I'll briefly run through the card, the fights that have been announced so far, and I'll give you my thoughts. You have Katie Taylor versus Natasha Jonas. Not interested whatsoever. I'm not a fan of female boxing. Those who are, fair enough, it's not my cup of tea. It is what it is. You have Chris Eubank Jr. versus Marcus Morrison. Fuck me, Chris Eubank Jr. fighting Tyan Booth leftovers on a pay-per-view card. Marcus Morrison is now a middleweight. He basically failed domestically at 154. He got beat up by Jason Wellborn. He got outboxed by Tyan Booth in a 4-rounder. And he also got beat by the journeyman Alistair Warren. And now this guy is on pay-per-view fighting Chris Eubank Jr. That fight is an absolute mismatch. Fair enough, if Chris Eubank Jr. wants a tune-up fight, I get it. He's been out of the ring for quite some time. If you want the tune-up, no problem. But it should not be on a pay-per-view card. This is an absolute mismatch. And by the way, Marcus Morrison could get fucking hurt in that fight as well. He's going to get smashed to pieces. Hopefully it's not too brutal for Marcus Morrison. Joke fight. You've also got Dimitri Bivol versus Craig Richards at light heavyweight. That is for Dimitri Bivol's WBA light heavyweight title. Now I'm a big fan of Dimitri Bivol, one of my favourite light heavyweights and one of my favourite fighters in general. But once again, this is an absolute mismatch. Craig Richards is just about proven at domestic level at light heavyweight in the UK. His best names on his resume are Frank Buglioni, which he lost, and Shakan Pitters, who he beat by knockout. So at domestic level, basically he's one-on-one at light heavyweight. I highly doubt Craig Richards is even European level in this current light heavyweight division. Absolute shocking mismatch. Again, Dimitri Bivol hasn't fought in quite some time. Once again, I appreciate if he wants this sort of fight as a tune-up, but it should not be on a pay-per-view undercard. They'll sell this as, yeah, we got a world title fight on the undercard. What does it matter if there's a world title attached when it's a fucking mismatch? You know, you can put makeup on it, but it's still a turd at the end of the day. It's a complete mismatch of a fight. And yeah, hopefully Craig Richards gets paid well because he's going to get outboxed and beat up in this fight. Dimitri Bivol's arms could fall off and he would still outbox Craig Richards. Joke of a fight as far as I'm concerned. And again, Katie Taylor, Natasha Jonas, I don't care about female boxing, so that doesn't interest me either. The main event in itself is a good fight, you know. The fight makes sense for both guys at this stage of their careers. But to me, that fight as a headliner needs a stacked undercard. And for me, what we've been told about so far is not stacked, just mismatches. Joke, as far as I'm concerned, absolute joke. And even the headliner, let's be honest, Dereck Chisora, what's he got now, like 10 losses? He's a glorified gatekeeper, a high-level gatekeeper. He's never been a genuine top 10 heavyweight, yet this guy's headlining more pay-per-views than Money Mayweather. It's an absolute joke. And Joseph Parker, very talented fighter, don't get me wrong, but look at his last few fights. Absolute stinkers. Should these guys be headlining a pay-per-view? Especially with an undercard this bad? To me, this is an absolute joke. From what's been announced so far is poor. This is not pay-per-view worthy as far as I'm concerned. If it is, the standards in the UK have dropped dramatically. I hope this fight flops, because if this fight does well on pay-per-view, to me this sets a bad precedent in the future. Bear in mind, we keep on getting told that the sport of boxing in the UK is growing. We keep on getting told that, but back in 2012, we was getting Carl Froch versus Lucien Butte on regular Sky Sports. Yet fast forward 9 years, Joseph Parker versus Dereck Chisora is a pay-per-view headliner. Again, we keep on getting told the sport of boxing is booming in the UK. Well, why were we getting better Saturday night fight nights on regular Sky 9 years ago? Froch versus Beauty on regular Sky, with Carl Frampton on the undercard. That was on regular Sky. If the sport of boxing has grown so much since then, why aren't we getting shows on regular Sky anywhere close to that quality? It's an absolute joke. And bear in mind also, there was this time in British boxing, I think it was back in 2017, and a lot of people were complaining back then about the amount of pay-per-views on Sky Sports. And how Matchroom and Eddie Hearn justified it was that, yes, we're going to have more pay-per-views, but as a result, we'll have more money to invest in the regular shows, and therefore you'll get better regular Sky Sports fight nights. For the most part, that has not happened. I'm not saying there's been no good cards, because there has, but not enough as far as I'm concerned. And I appreciate what's going on right now in the world, but this was a problem long before COVID, with the regular shows in the UK on Sky Sports. This show as a pay-per-view show to me is poor. I certainly would not be buying it. Me at the best of times, I'm very selective with fights I buy on pay-per-view. I rarely buy fights these days, quite frankly, and I certainly will not be buying this one. But yeah, I'll find other means of watching this fight. Legal, of course legal, but yeah, I'm not buying this fight, put it that way. But share your thoughts below. What do you make of this fight? Are you excited to be buying a pay-per-view where Eubank Jr. fights Ty and Booth, sloppy seconds? If you're looking forward to that, more power to you, but for me, not good enough. Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.